Hi, in this tutorial I will give an overview of MongoDB Cloud, or as the real name is MongoDB Atlas, and how we can use this cloud version of MongoDB with the Python programming language. So here you see the contents of this tutorial. First, a short introduction to MongoDB, then this cloud version of MongoDB, MongoDB Atlas, which is the main focus in this tutorial. Short overview of MongoDB Compass, which is a software or a graphical user interface that you can use in order to communicate with the MongoDB database. So here, using MongoDB Compass, which you install on your local computer, you can use it to add data to MongoDB, or show data, delete data, update data, etc. And then we will focus on how we can use or communicate with the MongoDB from Python. So I will use Python and a PyMongo Python driver. I will provide start with some basic Python examples for writing data to MongoDB Atlas and reading data from the MongoDB Atlas cloud version. Then I will provide some more advanced examples for data logging and data monitoring. So let's start with a short overview of MongoDB in general. So MongoDB is a cross-platform document-oriented database program, and MongoDB is a so-called NoSQL database program, and MongoDB uses an JSON-like document format. The homepage of MongoDB, you find it here. Also at this location you find the cloud version of MongoDB, is MongoDB Atlas. So there exist different versions of MongoDB. You have a MongoDB community server, which you can download and use for free on your own personal computer. Then you will have the MongoDB locally installed on your computer. You have MongoDB Compass, which is the graphical user interface for connecting and manipulating the data in a MongoDB database. Either it's a local MongoDB database or a cloud version of MongoDB. And also you need to use this PyMongo Python driver if you want to communicate with MongoDB from Python. So previously I have already made a tutorial and a video using MongoDB, the community server, and the MongoDB Compass software, and also provided different Python examples using this PyMongo. So you find this video at my YouTube channel, and you find more information and resources regarding Python at my webpage. But this tutorial will focus on using this MongoDB Atlas, which is this cloud version of MongoDB. So then let's start with the MongoDB Atlas. So MongoDB Atlas, what is it? It's basically a cloud version of the ordinary MongoDB database. So it's a pre-made MongoDB installed and ready to use in the cloud. You can use it for free in a limited edition. So you can use a so-called a shared cluster for free. And the purpose with this shared cluster is for learning MongoDB and to develop small applications. For larger applications, you typically need to pay in order to use this MongoDB Atlas, the cloud version of MongoDB. So you find MongoDB Atlas at this location. So in order to start with MongoDB Atlas, you just go to their webpage. Then you click on products, MongoDB Atlas, and then get started now in order to create an account, username, password, etc. And then after some minutes, this system is set up for you, and then you are ready to start creating or building a database. And in order to create your first database, this free version of MongoDB Atlas, you just choose create a database, and then you select this free shared version. So then, as mentioned, you create a shared cluster, and then you select this free shared version, and then you can select different providers like Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud, or Azure. It's the same that you select here, and then you just create a cluster in order to start using this free shared cluster version of MongoDB Atlas. So typically it will take some minutes for this MongoDB Atlas to create your free cluster. So it may take some minutes before it's ready to use, and then you will find it here under databases. And one of the first thing you need to do if you are going to get access to this database from your local computer or from a Raspberry Pi device, etc., you need to go to network access, and then you need to add your IP addresses. So you just click here, add IP address, and then you need to enter the IP address for the device you are going to connect to this cloud service. Either it's your local PC, a Raspberry Pi, etc. And then this IP address will be listed here. So the IP addresses that are listed here in this list have access to your MongoDB Atlas database. So the next thing you need to do is to find the connection string that you need to use in order to connect to the database in this cloud version of MongoDB. So you can connect to this cloud version of MongoDB either from your Python application or other kind of programming language. I will in this tutorial use Python. So then you select here under databases, connect, and connect to your application, and then just click here, and then you will find your connection parameters for different types of applications. So just click here in order to find the connection string for PyMongo, which is the Python driver you need to use in order to communicate with the MongoDB database. You can also install this MongoDB Compass, which is this graphical user interface that you can use in order to communicate with the database. So I recommend that you start using this MongoDB Compass in order to be able to connect to the database, and you can use it to add data, see the data within the database, edit data, delete data, etc. And then you just click here in order to get the necessary connection parameters in order to connect to the MongoDB database using this MongoDB Compass. Next, you typically need to create a database. Of course, you can do that from the MongoDB Compass or from your application, but you can also do it from the web page. So you just go to click on the databases here on the web page, select the browse collections, and then here under collections, then you can start creating one or more databases, and then you can add data within that database. So here I have created a database, and I have added some data, as you see here. So the next step now will be to install MongoDB Compass, which is this graphical user interface which you can use and install on your local computer and use to communicate with the MongoDB database. And when you have up and running with this MongoDB Compass, the next step then will be to start creating your Python applications. So let's go to MongoDB Compass. So MongoDB Compass is the official graphical user interface for MongoDB. So with MongoDB Compass you can explore and manipulate your MongoDB database. You can view data, add data, edit data, delete data, etc. And to use Compass you must connect to an existing MongoDB database. So you can either connect to a local MongoDB database you have installed on your local computer, or a MongoDB database on another computer, or you can connect to this MongoDB Atlas, which is this cloud version of MongoDB. So this is what we are going to do in this tutorial. So then let's take a closer look at the MongoDB Atlas and MongoDB Compass. So now I'm on the web page of MongoDB, clicking on products, and you have this Atlas. And then you can get started for free. In order to create an account, I have already made an account, so I just sign in here, enter my email address, click next. And then I'm inside this MongoDB Atlas. So here is the web page. Here you find under databases, my databases, and here, as mentioned earlier, you click here under database access in order to add the IP addresses for the client that you're going to use in order to connect to this MongoDB Atlas. So now go to databases, browse collections. Then you can click here in order to create a new database. Just enter the database name and a name of a collection. So actually a collection is the same as a name of the table which you use in ordinary SQL databases. So type a name of your database and your collection and just click create. I have already made some databases which I will use. So I have a database called library with a collection called book, and within that collection I have the data within that collection. I have also another database here called measurement system and a collection name called measurement data and the data within that database. Let's go back to this library database and a collection called book. So now I have 3 different books here in my database. So I can click here in order to edit this information or delete it, or I can insert new data into this this collection. And when you insert new data into this collection called book, it's called a document. So you typically in MongoDB insert documents into this collection, and the collection is part of a database. So the next step now is to start using this MongoDB Compass. So I just click here on databases, then click connect, and then you have these 3 options. Either connect to your application, which is typically a Python application, C# application, or whatever. But now I'm going to connect using MongoDB Compass, so I'll just click on this one. And then I have already MongoDB Compass installed on my computer, so I select this choice. Or if you don't have MongoDB Compass installed, you can click on this one, and then you can select your operating system and download this software. And the next step now, so I have already MongoDB Compass installed. Then you find the connection string here. You just click here in order to copy this connection string like this. And then you open your local installation of MongoDB Compass, which I have here. And then this new connection pops up. And then you can just pass in this connection string. Just click Ctrl V. And then you have this connection string ready here, like this. And the last thing here is it tries to connect to a test database. So I just delete this one, and then we need to enter the password for the database, which you get when you create this free cluster within this MongoDB web page. So now I click the connect button, and then I'm inside, and then I can get access to my databases, which is stored in this MongoDB Atlas. So how you see here, we have this library database, and we have this measurement system, which is the same databases you found here on the web page under databases, browse collections, you have this library and this measurement system. In addition, you always get an admin database, but we will focus on the databases we have created, or I have created. So let's start with this library. And then we have this collection called book, and then we have the data within that collection, or the documents as it's called in MongoDB terms. So here I have 3 documents, so it's basically 3 different books with a title and an author, like this. And as you can also here, you can click here to edit document, delete document, etc. So far we have been creating an account on this MongoDB Atlas, the cloud version of MongoDB. We was able to create a database and create some data within the database, so collections and collections and documents within a specific database, and we was able to connect to this MongoDB Atlas database from our local computer using this MongoDB Compass, which is this software that you use in order to communicate with your cloud database from your local computer. And then the next step now is to start creating your Python applications. So then you can again go to connect here, and now we select connect to your application, and then you just select the driver here for different programming languages, C, C#, Java, etc. But we are going to use Python, and then you select the Python version like this, and then you will get the connection string here, and then you can just click copy here in order to copy this connection string. And the only thing you need to change is this password, like this. So just copy it. So now you are ready to start creating your Python application that can communicate with the MongoDB Atlas, and then you can create Python applications that are inserting data, updating data, deleting data, or viewing data. I will focus on inserting data and viewing data. So I will provide some basic examples. Let's start with this database we have already created, this library database, and then we have a collection called book, and then I will insert a new document within that collection and that database. So the first thing we need to do in this Python application is to import this PyMongo Python library. I'm using here a Python editor called Tony, but you can of course use any kind of Python editor, a Spider, Visual Studio Code, etc. So the good thing about Tony, in order to install a Python library, you just go to Tools, Manage Packages, and then you just search for the package you are going to install. So then PyMongo, click Search, and then you find the proper Python library, click on it, and then you can just click on the install button here in the bottom. I have already installed this library, so I'm having different options here, so I can install it. And then you have the necessary driver installed in order to communicate with the MongoDB database. Of course, if you are not using Tony, you are using Spider or something, you can just use ordinary pip in order to install this Python package. Then let's go through this basic example. So in order to hide the connection string, so not everybody can see my username and password, I have created a separate Python script called database.python. You can of course call it whatever you like. And then inside here I have created a method called getConnectionString, and within that I just specify my connection string to the MongoDB Atlas. And the only thing you need to do when you copy the connection string from this web page. Just copy this one. And the only thing you need to change is this password. So I just need to enter my password here. So now my connection string should be ready, and then I can just import database here, which is this Python script database.py, which I have stored my connection string, and then I can just use, when I import database, I can create a variable called connection string equals to database dot get connection string, and then the connection string will be stored in this local variable within this Python script. And then I can use client equals to pymongo dot mongo client, and then the connection string in order to connect to the MongoDB Atlas database in this cloud version of MongoDB. And then I specify the database, which is library, and the collection, which is book, and then I can create a new document. But let's go back to this Compass. So here I have already in this database 3 documents. One is called C programming, library programming, and database programming. And then let's create a new one here. We can call it MATLAB programming, and the author is John Presley. And then finally we just use this collection dot insert one and then document, which is specified here, in order to insert this document into the collection and the database. So then I can just save my Python script, click on this run button, and hopefully after a few seconds this new document will be created or inserted into the database. So now the Python script has been finished executed. Then I can go to, for instance, this MongoDB Compass. I can just click refresh here, and then you see this new document has been created within the database. And I can also go to the web page, click browse collections here, and then you see now I have 1, 2, 3, 4 documents within this collection and the database. And you see this new document called, with the title MATLAB Programming, and author John Presley, which is just created from this Python script. And the next now is to use Python in order to retrieve data from this MongoDB Atlas. So then I have created a new Python script. Here I of course import the same pymongo, I import my connection string using this import database, and I find the connection string here, connect to the database, specify the database name and the collection name, and then I just use a basic for loop in order to get all the documents within that specific collection. So then I can just click the run button and wait a few seconds. Typically it takes a few seconds in order to connect and retrieve the data from this free version of MongoDB Atlas, and here I was able to retrieve the data. So now I was retrieving all the documents within that collection and the database. So we have 4 books here now in the database: C programming, library programming, database programming, and this final MATLAB programming, which we just inserted from this other Python script. So now we have created 2 basic Python applications, one for inserting data and another one for retrieving data from the database. Next, I want to show some more advanced Python applications where I'm going to log data from a sensor into this MongoDB Atlas cloud version of MongoDB, and then I will create another Python script that retrieving the data and plotting it. So then I have here now I'm on the web page for this MongoDB Atlas. We have so far using this library database, and this book collection, and then we have inserted some documents within that collection. Now I also shown earlier this measurement system database, and then we have a collection name called measurement data, and so far there are no documents within that database. You can also go to this MongoDB Compass and the same measurement system and measurement data, and there are no data within that collection and the database. So then let's go back to Python, and now I have created a new Python script called Mongo_Atlas _data logging. So then this Python script starts by using a simulator or a random generator within Python in order to simulate and generate a random value from a so-called or an imaginary temperature sensor. So I was creating here a temperature simulator that are generating a temperature value between 20 and 25 degrees Celsius using this randint, which is a function that you find in this random library, which is part of ordinary Python. And then, of course, on the top here, it's the same. You find the connection string, which is stored in this database.python. You connect to your MongoDB database. You specify the database, which is measurement system, and the collection, which is measurement data. And then I have created a for loop here. And depending on how much data you want to insert, I have just a for loop with t iterations. And within each iteration, I wait 10 seconds in order before I generate a new temperature data using this random generator. And then I'm inserting this document. So I'm inserting two values, a measurement value, which is the actual temperature value between 20 and 25 degrees Celsius, and a date time, which I'm generating here using this Python function called datetime.now in order to find the date time just now, and then I just format it to a specific format with year, month, day, hours, and minutes, and seconds, like this. And then I'm just inserting this document into the database, wait for 10 seconds before it goes into the next iteration in this for loop. So let's just run this example, click the run button, and then we just need to wait some seconds or minutes. And finally, the Python script was finished executed. So I inserted now 10 documents within that collection and the database. And let's start with this MongoDB Compass, which you find here. And then we have this measurement system and the collection called measurement data. And then you click just refresh here, and now you see how 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 10 data points has been created within this collection and the database. So in each document we have a measurement value, which is the temperature value in degrees Celsius, and a measurement date time. So this is the data within MongoDB Compass. Let's go to the web page. Just click on the collection here, and the same data are appearing here on the web page. So the next now is to create another Python application that are actually retrieving this data and plotting it. So then we go back to my Python environment, and now I created a new Python script called Mongo_Atlas _monitoring. So it's basically the opposite of this previous application. So here I just so I find the connection string and connect to the database. I specify the database and the collection, and then I have a for loop here when I'm actually retrieving data from the MongoDB database. So I'm retrieving the measurement value and the measurement datetime. I do some formatting, and then I put both the measurement value and the measurement datetime into two different arrays, and then I have one array for the datetime and one array for the measurement values. So then I plot t versus data using these ordinary plot functions, which is part of this matplotlib. If you have this matplotlib installed, you just install it by using pip in your Python editor in the command line, or if you are using Tony, you just click to Tools, Manage Packages, and search for the package name. Click search here and install the package. Let's just run this example by clicking this run button, and hopefully after a few seconds after it has connected to the database and are retrieving the data, it will plot the data which we just logged in the previous Python application. So just here. So here you see a plot of the actual data which are stored in MongoDB Atlas, the cloud version of MongoDB. So you have here on the x-axis you have the time, and on the y-axis you have the actual temperature value. And as you see, the temperature data are between 20 and 25, which was used in this random generator in order to simulate a temperature sensor like this. So that's all. So good luck with MongoDB, MongoDB Atlas, and your Python applications. Thank you.